Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Jill.
And this is CrimeDivers.
Hello everybody, welcome to this bonus episode for Halloween.
Yes, welcome to our spooky episode.
Yep, this is actually the first of two.
I know, you are in for a treat. Trick or treat. This
You're
weekend.
funny.
I know, but really not funny.
Yeah, so we have an episode today and an episode tomorrow because,
It's Halloween.
it's Halloween, so
Oh,
why not?
Why the hell not?
Yeah, so, because we live in Scotland, I have no idea what I was just going to say there.
Do you think we live somewhere else?
Yeah, because we live in Scotland and Scotland is the most haunted place in the world, I thought I would go looking for some ghosts. So what I've done is I've just found a collection of sort of places that are haunted and I'm just going to tell you the stories behind the ghosts. Did you just see a ghost?
I don't know,
Why?
what was that noise?
What noise?
Did you not hear that?
No.
That was like a creaking noise there. I didn't like that.
It's probably you.
Well, you might hear it back on the episode.
Maybe. Anyway.
We're just getting a bit freaked out in here.
Stop it.
Stop it!
It's the chair that you're
Is it?
sitting in.
But it wasn't
It
making
creaks.
noise. It wasn't making that noise before. And I've been swinging on it.
Well, do you want to stop swinging on the chair?
Okay.
Are you okay?
I just...
I'll tell you if there's something behind you.
Right, okay.
Right.
That's this fucking door.
Ah,
the
the
door.
door's creaking. It's just because I've opened the window.
That's what it is.
You can lock it. You put the lock
I
on.
knew that's why it wasn't doing it before, because you just opened the window. Jesus.
Right, okay. Now that Laura's had her, whatever that were, episode, whatever that was, do you want to dive in?
Yeah, let's dive in. I'm all good now.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with Stirling Castle.
I've been there.
So, yeah, I've been there as well with you.
Okay.
Do you know? You won't remember
It's
because...
like, do I remember that?
No, you were just little because I remember we have a photo and you have ice cream. You're sitting in your buggy and you have ice cream all around your mouth.
I've obviously been there again then, because I've been there when I was older, not with you.
Right, okay. Well, yeah, I didn't see any ghosts. Did
Right.
you?
Not that I remember.
No. Okay, well, should we get into the ghosts here?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to tell you about the Green Lady.
The Green Lady.
Yeah, I know. Ladies always seem to have a colour.
Yeah,
All
I know,
these
because there's like
ghosts.
the Red Lady.
White lady, grey lady, whatever lady. They've
Is
always,
there-
I
yeah.
don't know. But this one's green.
This is green. Okay.
Yeah. So Mary Queen of Scots had been living in France for 20 years and when her husband Francis died, she returned to Scotland. One of her maids at Stirling Castle was from the Highlands and she was gifted with the power of foretelling.
Ooh.
So she had a premonition that if the Queen slept even one night in the castle, she wouldn't live to see dawn.
Oh, right, okay.
So she told Mary about the premonition, and Mary liked the girl, so she listened, but she obviously, she didn't really believe it.
Yeah, didn't really believe
And she still went to bed in the castle that night. But she allowed the maid to watch over her as she slept, and so that so the maid could call for help if any threat presented itself.
So she just had to sit there and watch her sleep.
Well, yeah, that's she was a maid, you got to do your job.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough.
So Mary fell asleep really quickly as she'd had a long journey that day. The maid was tired too, and she was scared that she would fall asleep and leave the Queen in danger. She barred the door and she lit a candle. She stayed awake for as long as she could, but eventually her eyes just kept shutting and she fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden she woke up and the chamber was on fire. The candle had fallen and set the bed covers alight.
Oh, so she caused it.
She screamed for help and she jumped off her chair and ran to Mary and tried to wake her up. She wouldn't wake up, so the maid had to carry her to the door where guards on the other side were forcing the door open because they'd obviously heard her screams.
Mm-hmm.
The guards got them out, and as history tells us, Queen Mary lived for another 22 years. But the girl quickly perished from the wounds she received that fateful night. Even her name has been forgotten. She is only known by the colour of the gown that she wore.
The Green Lady.
Yeah, so obviously she was wearing green.
Uh-huh.
So even though she acted bravely by saving the Queen's life, she is forever feared as a harbinger of doom, death and despair, forever paying penance for the act which led her to be the instrument of her own passing from this world. So if you ever visit Stirling Castle, I'd see one of their female ghosts, don't look into their eyes or you will never see the dawn.
Oh. Very scary. See, I didn't even realise Stirling Castle was haunted, to be honest. I mean, I hadn't heard that story.
Well, do you want to hear another one about Stirling Castle?
Oh, is there more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They also have the Highland Ghost.
Okay.
So the most active ghost sightings is of the Highland Ghost. Staff and visitors have often seen his apparition wearing full Highland dress, like kilt and all, like, you know. Plenty of times he's actually been mistaken for a tour guide.
Oh, really?
That's how sort of really
wow.
is. You never know, you might have spoken to him. And visitors have been shocked when they approach him and he just walks away and like vanishes in front of their eyes.
Oh, no way.
So in 1935, the Highland Ghost was apparently captured on camera by an architect who was carrying out some surveying for upcoming building work. The image is also on the negative of the photo as well. And I'll post a picture on our social media. Yeah, I saw the picture and I actually saw it because I don't know, obviously probably don't remember from sort of, I'm sure I said in last year's Halloween episode, like I never see things in pictures, you know, I can never make things out. But I did actually see that.
I'm intrigued to see this picture.
Yeah. So that's just a couple of ghosts from Stirling Castle. So now, oh, sorry, I am just moving a stool over so I can put my feet up. I'm just getting myself comfy.
Get yourself comfy.
Yeah. So now we're going to Edinburgh Castle. And we know, we've been to Edinburgh Castle, of course.
Yes, we have been to
You can't live near Edinburgh and not go to Edinburgh Castle.
Well, I haven't been for many, many years, so I think it's somewhere I'd maybe like to take my daughter at some point.
Has she not been? Oh, you have to take her.
Well, I think she's not really been at the age that she would find a castle interesting yet, but I think she might be coming into that kind of age where she probably will find things like that interesting.
Don't tell her about the ghost or she'll never go.
Yeah, I won't tell her.
So, Edinburgh Castle's dungeon is apparently really active with paranormal activity. One prisoner was so desperate to escape that he buried himself in a wheelbarrow filled with shit.
Okay.
So he expected to be wheeled down the Royal Mile to freedom because that's how they got rid of their shit.
Lovely.
But unfortunately, the barrow was disposed of by being thrown over the towering edge of the Castle Rock.
Oh, so he got thrown to his death then.
Yeah, the summit of the Castle Rock is 430 feet, so obviously the man died. Some say that he remains at the castle as a ghost, and because he is so angry at what happened to him, he is said to attempt to push people from the heights of the castle. Oh. But luckily, anyone who comes near is warned beforehand because he stinks of shit. So if you're at Edinburgh Castle and you smell shit, walk the other way.
Get me for the edge.
Yeah, get me for the edge. There's also a ghost of a young piper boy.
Oh, actually.
I think I've got a feeling maybe, did I not say something about the young piper boy in the Halloween episode last year?
I'm not sure. I can't remember last year. That's a whole year ago, Joe. I can't remember what I did last week, never mind last year.
Okay, anyway. So when tunnels leading from the castle were discovered hundreds of years ago, people wanted to know where these tunnels went to. So the entrance was so small that only a young person would, like a little person, I don't know why I said young person there, a little person, would fit through to be sent down to explore. So this little boy was sent down there and told to play his bagpipes as he followed the tunnel so that they could obviously hear that he was alright.
Yeah.
But he made it halfway down the Royal Mile before suddenly falling silent. No one knows what happened to him. Rescue efforts were attempted, but he was never found.
Oh God, okay.
Legend has it that sometimes you can still hear the muffled sound of the boy's bagpipes playing as he continues to search for a way out of the tunnel.
Oh wow.
Now I would find that really creepy because I actually find the bagpipes really creepy. Like
I don't like bagpipes.
I used to hate like pipe bands because you would get a lot of that in Scotland. You'll have pipe bands marching down the street, at certain, sort of festivals and things like
Marches
that.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
And they used to always give me the creeps, but then my daughter, when she actually joined a pipe band, as she was a drummer, but because she joined it, I used to go and watch her, and I'd hear her listening to that kind of music and stuff, so I kind of got used to it, but I still find that bagpipes are a bit creepy.
Yeah. Well, what a shame though.
I know, poor boy, I wonder what happened to him.
I know, obviously something happened to him, but it baffles me that they couldn't find him.
Exactly, it's just a mystery. So the last ghost at Edinburgh Castle, I think obviously I'm not telling you about all the ghosts at each place, I'm just sort of telling you about the most seen ones,
or
heard or whatever.
Yeah.
So the last one at Edinburgh Castle is a dog.
Oh.
And he's a black dog. This dog is often seen running around the castle grounds and then he just disappears into thin air. There's a wee dog cemetery at the castle, which I didn't know. Did you know there's a dog cemetery there?
Didn't know that, no.
Which contains many soldier dogs, but so they reckon it's one of the soldiers' dogs. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, this dog is just running around. I don't know if it's maybe lost his owner or something like that. Maybe. Yeah.
See, this is what I like about, we may live here, but we certainly don't know everything about.
Oh, God, no. I mean, honestly, I had to cut it back. Like, there is so much more that I could have, told you about, but I just wanted to tell you a little story, just to keep it interesting, rather than it being one big story. Yeah. I'll just tell you little bits and pieces.
I like little stories.
So now we're going to go to one you might not have heard of, and it's called Sanchar Castle.
Sanchar, no, I've not heard of Sanchar.
That's in Dumfries and Galloway.
Oh, okay.
So this castle belonged to the Crichton family, and they sold the family in 1639 to Sir William Douglas of Drumlanrig. It's wondered if the Crichtons sold the castle because of John Wilson and Marion of Dalpedder. Both are said to haunt the castle. Mm. So Marion first appeared as a ghost in the castle. I'm just laughing because you're just going to roll your eyes. Marion first appeared as a ghost in the castle in 1590, and it's called... What colour do you think?
The orange lady.
Nope, the white lady.
Oh, the white lady, right.
So no one knows exactly what happened. So from what I read on graveyardsofscotland.com, mm-hmm. Robert Crichton, who was Lord Sanchar and Sheriff of Nithsdale... Honestly, we live in Scotland and I still can't pronounce the names of some of these places.
I know.
But this guy seems to be the cause of her death. And the beautiful blonde and the powerful lord were a dangerous and apparently deadly combination.
Oh, okay.
So during the renovation attempt of the castle in the 19th century, a skeleton of a young woman was excavated outside the castle walls.
All right.
It had a strand of long blonde hair left on the skull, just one strand.
Just one.
Yeah. So... was this the White Lady buried secretly by her murderer? Mm. Her grave never had a stone, nor was her body buried in sacred ground. The castle was her graveyard.
Oh, wow.
John Wilson was murdered at the same time as the White Lady in 1590.
So, they having an affair?
What?
Were they having an affair?
Don't know. Well, as I said, I find it a bit confusing because I get confused easily, so I'm not really sure what the hell's going on.
I was going to say, that doesn't take much for you.
So this John Wilson, he basically got caught in a quarrel between two powerful men. One was a friend of Robert Crichton, mm-hmm. the prime suspect in Marion's murder, and his name was Douglas of Drumlanrig. And the other one was called Sir Thomas Kirkpatrick, and John Wilson worked for Sir Thomas.
Right.
John Wilson was accused of something, but I don't know what. Mm-hmm. And so Sir Thomas defended him, because he worked for him, so he defended him. But the other guy, Douglas, was having none of it. And because he had power and connections, he let John Wilson hang.
Oh.
So John wanders round the ruined castle at night, moaning and crying and rattling his chains. Mm-hmm. So that's the commonly accepted version of the story, but some people think that John Wilson wasn't so innocent after all, and maybe he was locked up and hanged because he had something to do with Marion's disappearance. Mm. Because both incidents happened at the same time. Yes. So it's quite a big coincidence. And he was in a quarrel, and...
Yeah, but could be connected.
So these are the two ghosts at that castle.
Cool.
Now we're going to Culloden Castle.
Never heard of that. South
Ayrshire. The TV programme Most Haunted did an episode there.
I love Most Haunted. Yeah. I used to love watching that.
Well, they did an episode there, but I just called me lazy, but I just couldn't be bothered watching the episodes.
That's unlike you. You're really good at watching your documentaries and stuff.
I know, but I don't know, I just couldn't be bothered, so I didn't watch it. But anyway, I still researched the castle.
Yeah.
So there's a ghostly piper there as well.
Right.
Because, it's Scotland. We have pipers. They're ghostly.
Fair enough.
So this guy was sent into the caves below the castle with his dog. And it's pretty much like the Edinburgh Castle one. He was to go from the entrance below the castle walk through the caves to the exit. Oh, no. No. It is him going through the tunnels, but they did no. It's not the same. Just ignore me.
Okay.
So this guy was sent into the caves below the castle with his dog. He was to go from the entrance below the castle walk through the caves to the exit on a hill some distance away to prove to local residents that the caves weren't haunted. Well, they are now.
Okay.
So he started playing the pipes as he walked, which could be heard inside the castle, which was like high above the cliffs.
Right.
And as the sound of the pipes began to fade, people, they're like, oh, well, he must be getting further and further away. Mm-hmm. But then suddenly it stopped. But the piper and his dog never appeared out of the exit. A search party went into the caves thinking that he had got stuck or something, but him or the dog were never found. The castle was owned by the clan Kennedy, and local legend says that on the eve of a Kennedy family wedding, the sound of pipes can be heard coming from the caves below the castle, and a lone figure can be seen standing on Piper's Brae. So it's weird, like, how...
What the hell happens in these caves?
I have no idea. Like, maybe there's a cave monster that eats them.
Maybe.
So there are apparently 5 ghosts at this castle, at Culloden Castle, including the Piper.
Yeah.
According to Wikipedia, there's 7, but I couldn't find any information about the other 2. But, we know not to believe everything you read on Wikipedia.
No, this is very true.
So, a figure of a woman in a ball gown has been seen. In 1972, a vague apparition was reported by several witnesses in one of the corridors. Another was seen coming down the main staircase a few years later in 1976. There's another ghost known as the White Lady.
It's obviously more than one.
And she's believed to be the spirit of a mistreated servant. So, I think we've got one more castle, then it's not all castles, we're going to have more venues. Glamis Castle, which is in Angus.
Never heard of that one either.
So, I have a couple of legends about this castle first. So, I must have ghosts afterwards. I can't remember writing this, really. So, this is as new to me as it is to you.
Surprised.
Stop yawning.
Sorry. Can't help it.
Am I boring you?
No. Just tired.
So am I. Anyway.
Well, shut then.
Should we just get on with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of legends about this castle first. So, apparently a child who was physically challenged was born in the castle. He was Thomas Lyon Bowes, and he was Master of Glamis, born in 1821. He was described as half frog, half man. Well, yeah, I mean, like, it was...
Is that because of how it was maybe...
I don't know, it just... They used, they sort of used the word that I don't like.
Well, you don't have to say it.
No, I don't want to say it. It begins with D and ends with formed.
You're just going to say it.
But yeah, but like... That's why I sort of said physically challenged, because that's the word that they used. I don't like that. I don't like to use that word. I shouldn't have used it. So I have no idea.
The way that he was, what did he have, like frog's legs or something?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So he was just physically challenged. I thought that was the best way to put it. And he was, as I said, he was described as half frog, half man. So I don't know. Okay. And he was kept in the castle. Remember, this is just legend.
Yeah.
And he was kept in the castle all his life. And his suite of rooms were bricked up after his death. People have claimed to have seen his ghosts in the grounds, which doesn't make sense to me if he never left his suite of rooms. Like, why is he in the grounds?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, as I said, it's just legend. Another legend is that to every generation of the family, a vampire child is born. Oh, you didn't watch Buffy, did you?
Parts, but not really properly.
It just reminds me of the saying, and I think it just... It's kind of maybe the first season, I think they stopped saying it afterwards, but at the start of every episode it's something like every generation a slayer is born or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, that's what it reminds me of.
Right.
Anyway, so to every generation of the family, a vampire child is born and walled up in one of the rooms.
Right.
So why would you wall up, even if it is a vampire child, like, it's bad walling it up.
It's all a legend.
Yeah, I know. So, in the 15th century, a guy called Earl Beardy wanted to play cards, but because it was... What?
Earl
Beardy. Earl Beardy. Why are you laughing? Shh. Right, but he wanted to play cards, but because it was Sunday, and that day was put aside for prayer and rest, nobody would play with him. He was furious and he claimed that he would play with the devil himself. A stranger then appeared at the castle and joined him for a game of cards.
What, the devil?
The stranger was the devil, and he took El Berde's soul and condemned him to play cards until doomsday.
Okay.
And apparently he now haunts the castle since the devil stole his soul for gambling and swearing.
Oh, okay.
He haunts a particular room in the castle and has sometimes heard stamping and swearing.
Right.
There's a tongueless woman who is... What are you laughing at?
It just sounds so ridiculous.
A tongueless woman has been seen wandering the grounds, pointing to her badly wounded face. Sometimes she is seen looking out from a barred window within the castle. Unfortunately, no one knows who she could have been or what happened to her. It's just that people have seen the ghost. They don't actually know who the actual person is.
There's no actual person yet.
Right, we've got another lady.
Uh-huh.
What colour do you think she is this time?
Oh, red?
Grey.
Grey.
The Grey Lady is believed to be the ghost of Lady Glamis, who was burned at the stake, accused of being a witch in 1537. Apparently, she had been accused of poisoning her first husband, and when he died, she was accused of poisoning him.
Uh-huh.
But then she was cleared, and she went on to marry her second husband. In July 1537, she was accused of planning to poison King James V of Scotland and of communicating with her brothers, who were part of several conspiracies against the king. The allegations were false, but she was sent to Edinburgh Castle dungeon with her husband, who did escape but was later killed. King James couldn't find any evidence to convict her, so he tortured her family and servants to try and find out the truth. She was later convicted and burned at the stake.
Lovely.
Yeah, so I don't know what he found out. Like,
or did he just...
I think he just done it. I think he was just like, oh, do you know what? I'm fucking sick of you now. I'm just going to get rid of you.
Yeah, sounds like it.
There's a ghost of a young servant boy who sits on the stone seat by the door of the Queen's room. He's seen as a full-bodied apparition, but he has never been seen anywhere else in the castle. So, that's your castles. I'm sure there's plenty more.
I'm sure there is.
But I got bored.
Every castle's probably got a story or two.
Yeah, I got bored of castles.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, I'm just going to do a couple of each, because that was like 5.
Yeah.
So I found a couple of hotels.
Oh, okay.
And one of them I've actually been to.
Oh.
So, the Drovers Inn.
Which is weird.
I can't remember.
What do you don't know? You can't remember. If you've stayed in it, you must know where you were going, or where you were.
Yeah, I know where I was. I was on the West Highland Way.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that's helpful.
Well, not to people who don't know what the West Highland Way is.
What's sort of like Glasgow way?
Is it?
Well, it's out to the west.
Right. Anyway, I've been there.
Okay.
And me and my husband decided to walk the West Highland Way, which is a big long walk.
96 miles.
Is it 96 miles? I thought it was 100 miles.
96 miles.
Okay, it's 96 miles. So obviously you can't do that in one day, so you have to stay at, hotels or bed and breakfasts or whatever on the way. So when I was looking for hotels, I wasn't looking for hotels. I was basically looking for cheap places to stay.
Yeah.
Bed and breakfast, etc. But I actually spotted this one, the Drovers Inn, and thought, why don't we treat ourselves? This was £100 a night, which compared to the other places, they were maybe about 25 quid a night that we were staying at. So just to sort of give you an idea of the difference in price. It's £100 a night, but it was claimed to be haunted. Mm-hmm. And I must have been brave.
I was going to say, why did you stay there?
No idea why I wanted to stay there, because there's not a hope in hell, not a chance in hell I would do it now. But I just thought it looked really interesting, and I said, why not? We're walking all this distance.
Let's have one decent night.
Yeah, let's have one. I mean, the other places were nice enough, one of them had a hot tub, but this was our sort of luxury one. Had a jacuzzi in the bathroom and all the rest of it. So it was shit. We got there.
I wasn't expecting that.
We got there and we didn't even have a room in the hotel. They had across the road from the hotel. They had these rooms, these
huts or something, or
I
cabins.
I actually can't even describe what they are. They're just like a room with a bathroom.
Oh, okay.
And they were right next to. So there was actually a door in our room. that led into the room next door. It was like, it was locked. But, you know, no, and just the telly didn't work, the dust was thick, there was
Did you get
a socket hanging out the wall. What?
Did you get the jacuzzi in the bathroom?
Yeah, that was the only good thing about it.
Oh, right.
Anyway, we complained, never got an apology, never got nothing, so it was absolute shit.
Oh,
so anyway.
Disappointment.
Yeah. But I'm going to tell you about the hauntedness anyway, even though
So you didn't actually stay in the haunted part then?
No.
Oh. But that's a good thing for you.
Well, after reading this, I'm kind of thinking, I'm glad I didn't. So, in the winter of 1972, a young Crofton family were forcibly removed from where they lived because their landlord decided that the land would make more money if it was used for sheep farming.
Right.
So, having nowhere to live and very little money to support their child, they headed south in the hope of creating a new life for themselves in the Scottish Lowlands. One night on their long journey, they got caught in a heavy snowstorm. They had been trying to reach shelter at the Drovers Inn, but with visibility being really poor, they took a wrong turn and ended up getting lost. They all froze to death trying to find the Drovers, and over the years there have been many accounts of people seeing the family wandering the land in the winter months to try to find shelter. I was there in spring, so I didn't see them. And one account even suggests that they reached their destination, because quite recently a couple who were staying at the Drovers Inn woke up during the night shivering. They opened their eyes and saw a family standing shivering at the end of their beds.
That's just giving me shivers.
Can you imagine waking up and there's a fucking family?
I must admit, like, that's always been one of my worst things, is like, when I've been sleeping, is if I woke up and somebody was like standing over me. I think I would hate that.
That's something I always, sometimes I fear to open my eyes.
I know, but yeah, I'm exactly the same, because I'm like, don't open your eyes, is there going to be anything there? It's horrible.
So they opened their eyes, saw a family standing shivering at the end of their bed. The wee boy was even smiling and waving at Can you imagine? He's straight up, this wee lad is like, hiya! So he must have just been happy to finally find shelter. A lady stayed at the Drovers one Thursday night with her daughter and friends for a birthday treat. A few days later, the lady emailed the Drovers asking them if they could tell her who the little girl in the pink dress in the photograph was that they'd taken on the stairs. Her daughter had taken the photo with her phone and swore the girl wasn't there when she took it.
Right.
And there were no children staying in the hotel that night.
Oh, wow.
So, don't know who that was.
Oh, that's just giving me shivers as well.
Over 300 years ago, when cattle drovers regularly stopped off at the inn, there was a guy called Angus who was resting his cattle for the night. The next day he woke up, later than planned, to find that rival clan members had stolen his cattle.
Oh.
So Angus had to go back to the Highland chief that he was delivering the cattle for and explain what happened. This guy was known to be ruthless and unforgiving, and he killed Angus's family and his girlfriend and banished him from the clan in dishonour.
Oh,
like,
God.
a bit drastic, like.
It's not his fault, is it? It's not really his fault.
No. Well, maybe because he wasn't looking after his cattle properly,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it wasn't his family's and his girlfriend's fault.
Exactly.
So Angus obviously wanted revenge on the rival clan members, so he went back to the Drovers Inn. He saw the rivals and he hid, waiting for his moment to take his revenge. But unfortunately, one of the rivals had actually spotted him and told other thieves where Angus was hiding. So they murdered Angus in cold blood by hanging him from the old tree behind the inn.
Ooh.
Over the years, people have reported seeing and hearing Angus wandering the Drovers Inn late at night, screaming in pain, searching for the thieves to have his revenge. What? Like, there's loads of stories about the Drovers. One October night, a man and his girlfriend, they stopped off at the Drovers Inn on their way up to the Isle of Mull. The following morning, when they were getting ready to leave, they noticed that their digital camera had been moved slightly. So they looked at the camera and saw that a number of photos had been taken during the night.
Oh, wow.
All the photos were of the couple sleeping.
Oh God, no.
And what looked like an eerie light coming from above them.
Oh.
So they thought maybe their friends had snuck, because they were travelling with other people as well. They thought that maybe their friends had snuck in and played a trick on them, but their door was still locked from the inside, just as they had left it the night before, so nobody would have been able to get into their room.
Ooh.
But yet somebody was taking photos of them sleeping.
That's scary.
That's creepy, isn't it? In the early 1900s, there was a little girl who lived near the Drovers Inn. One day she was playing with her doll, Annabelle. Of course it's called Annabelle, isn't it?
Of course, the most common name for a doll.
A spooky doll.
Oh yeah.
So she was playing with her doll Annabelle in the River Falloch, which runs behind the Drovers. This river is usually shallow and safe, but on this day there'd been lots of rainfall, so the river had swelled and it had like stronger undercurrents. So Annabelle, the doll, fell into the river and got swept away, but the little girl tried to save her doll and she died. So when it was realised that the little girl was missing, a search party went looking for her. They eventually found her and carried her lifeless body to the Drovers Inn and laid her on the bed in room 6. She stayed there until the burial ground in the nearby graveyard was ready for her to be put at rest. So it's said in the years since then, many guests staying in room 6 have been woken during the night, having felt a small, icy cold and wet body next to them in the bed.
No. I don't want to go. Don't get me in room 6. I'm like, please.
Why the hell did I want to stay in this hotel? I have no idea.
Oh, you didn't know any of that though, did you?
Well, I knew it was haunted because that's why I wanted to, but I can't remember what I knew. I maybe read a couple stories. I don't know what I knew because
clearly
it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while ago.
And there's also been sightings of Annabelle, who has been searching for her owner, who she was sadly never reunited with.
Yeah, okay.
That's quite creepy, isn't it?
It is very.
So that's the Drovers Inn.
Okay.
So now we've got the Cathedral House Hotel, which is in Glasgow. It's weird that I never wrote where the Drovers Inn is.
No, but anyway.
It's not really weird when it's me, is it?
Oh no, that's very true.
So this hotel was built in 1877, and originally it was a hostel where newly released inmates from the nearby Duke Street prison were temporarily lodged. So the prison was demolished in 1958, and it's said that the old prison may have displaced some lingering ghosts, some of whom are thought to haunt the nearby Cathedral House Hotel. So one woman was released from the prison, and when she went to the hostel, she was reunited with her 2 young children. But the woman suffered a mental break, and thinking her children would be taken away from her again, she drowned them in the bath.
Oh.
Since their tragic deaths, many people say that they have seen and heard the ghosts of the children giggling and playing in the upstairs bedroom where they had stayed. I know. I don't like child. There's something freaky about ghost child.
There
ghost
isn't,
children.
especially when you hear like the laughing. I say when you hear like I've heard it, but you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, to hear of a ghost child giggling and.
Yeah, like when I've seen it in like films and stuff, and I'm like.
It's creepy.
It is very creepy.
So another child haunts the hotel. He's a mischievous little boy who is the most frequently seen ghost. He's always seen in the main stairwell connecting the lower bar area to the hotel room upstairs. Some people feel him touching them, and others have reported seeing him running through the downstairs bar area before disappearing through a wall. There's been lots of other paranormal activity in the building, such as poltergeist activity, disembodied voices, and countless ghost sightings. So, that's your hotels.
Okay.
So now we're moving on to theatres.
Oh yes, theatres are known to be haunted, aren't they?
Yep. So, the Tron Theatre in Glasgow. The Tron Theatre... hang on. Right. So this city centre theatre has a long and dark history. It was originally built as a church. So they're scared. Oh, I should have done churches.
Yeah, I was actually expecting some churches.
No. Save them for next year.
Okay.
So it was a church, and then it was used as a place of execution, a police station, and a meeting place for the infamous Hellfire Club.
Oh, wow, so there's been a lot of different people in there.
Yeah. I had to look at... Do you know what the Hellfire Club is? Because I didn't know what it was. I looked it up.
I feel like it's like motorcycle related, is it? No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're thinking of Hell's Angels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I had to look it up anyway. Because I didn't know what it was. So it was a name for several exclusive clubs for high society men who were basically just wasting their fortunes on gambling, wine, and women.
Oh, right, okay.
So it was like a gentleman's club thing, you know.
Aye.
Yeah.
Right.
So in 1793, drunken members of the Hellfire Club set the building on fire. The steeple survived intact and can still be seen today. Anyway, it's now a theatre, and staff often report feelings of being watched. One male staff member felt an icy finger across his neck, and another has seen an office door handle open on its own. 2 ghost children and a man dressed in full horse riding gear have been encountered, and a dark apparition with a threatening presence have been witnessed in the boiler room, which is on the former site of St Mary's Crypt. There have been plenty of paranormal investigations done at the theatre, and loads of spirits have been contacted, including an 8-year-old child, a teenage girl with a missing hand, a town crier, and an actor called Arthur.
Oh, okay.
So a workman fell off his ladder once, and it's thought it was the boiler room ghost who pushed him. So prisoner ghosts were also contacted, and a noose was seen. And there's the ghost of a guy called Robert Adam who wanders around the auditorium when it's empty.
Oh, scary.
So now we're going to go to Edinburgh.
Oh,
the Playhouse.
The Playhouse.
Yeah, Edinburgh Playhouse.
I'm going there in a few weeks.
Oh. Well, what are you going to see?
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh. Well, you might see Albert.
Albert. I'll look out for Albert.
So the site where Edinburgh Playhouse is was originally a medieval jousting arena.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
And it was turned into an open-air theatre in the 14th century. Then later it was an insane asylum run by nuns.
Oh.
Then a religious meeting place. Bet you never knew any of that.
Nope, did not know that.
You don't think about things like that, do you? It's just...
No.
It's just a theatre. That's where it is.
I know. You don't think about what might have been there before.
Yeah.
You just think it's always been there.
Yeah. And then in the early 20th century, it was briefly a cinema before being converted into a theatre. In the 1950s, reports started to be made about customers and staff seeing a ghostly figure dressed in grey. The first recorded encounter was when police were attending a break-in at the Playhouse. The officer investigating found the stage door wide open, and when he entered, he looked around and he met Albert, who claimed to be the stage doorman. He met him on the 6th floor because he'd obviously went in and was looking about. So Albert told him that he would finish locking up the theatre, and I'm assuming that Albert said that he had left the... He must have told him that he left the door open or something, and there wasn't a break-in. So it's fine, off you go, I'll lock up. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, the police officer went to the theatre just to check it in and just make sure everyone was all right and nothing else had happened during the night. And he spoke to the theatre manager, and the theatre manager was wondering why the place had been unlocked. So the officer explained that he'd been called out the night before and he'd spoken to the doorman called Albert. And, he'd said he was going to lock up, so he was like, why is the place not locked?
Uh-huh.
The manager was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Albert's dead. So Albert died in mysterious circumstances. I couldn't find out how. Just mysterious circumstances.
Uh-huh.
Quite a few years before, and the theatre would have been empty all night. So when the police officer returned to the police station, he found out that none of the other officers had any knowledge of any calls to the Playhouse that night.
Oh.
So, because he'd obviously had a note, or however they done it, so it wasn't him that had answered the phone call, or whatever, so he, I mean, I don't know how they would have done it. I don't know if there was a note left or something saying you have to, but nobody else said that, they were like, nah, we never took that phone call.
Well, that's weird. Very scary.
So since that night, there have been more and more reports of paranormal activity in the building, from things like feeling a hand, touching people, to a full-blown orchestra playing on the stage.
Oh.
So, look out for Albert.
I will. See if I can see him.
So, is it raining? Oh, it's just heard. So I heard rain there. So, now, this is just a Scottish place. A Scottish place? A haunted Scottish place, I might say.
Okay.
I'm malfunctioning again. So, Glencoe, which is in the Scottish Highlands.
Yes, I've heard of Glencoe.
So, on the 13th of February, 1692, the brutal Glencoe Massacre took place, and it's one of the bloodiest incidents in Scottish history. The story goes that a troop of soldiers who were acting on government orders posed as friendly visitors before attacking their hosts, Clan MacDonald, while they lay sleeping in their beds, murdering 38 men, women and children. I mean, that's just wrong. We're doing it while they're in their beds. That's...
Yeah. Isn't that a bit...
And posing as friendly visitors.
It's kind of a bit cowardly in that sense. You're not even, engaging in a battle with them. You're just, getting them when they're sleeping, so they've got no chance.
Yeah, that's not nice, is it?
No, that's really horrible.
So, other members of Clan MacDonald are reported to have fled to surrounding mountains, but they ended up dying of exposure.
Oh.
So, on the anniversary of the massacre, the Glen is haunted by ghosts who reenact the massacre. The screams and cries of men and women can be heard throughout Glencoe, whose name in Gaelic means the Valley of Weeping. So people hear them like all the screams and cries and stuff like I do. I'm glad I did live in Glencoe.
Oh, yeah.
And now we've got the Culloden battlefield. The Culloden battlefield near Inverness. Have you been there?
To Inverness, yes.
No, the Culloden battlefield. It's like a tourist attraction.
No.
Me and John went to go there, and we ended up not getting there.
How does that work?
I don't know. We were staying in Inverness, and we were like, "Oh, we'll go to the Culloden battlefield." Don't know where we ended up. I remember we went to see if we could see Nessie.
I went there.
Yeah, but for some reason we ended up not going to the battlefield. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Can't remember. On the 16th of April, 1746, the Battle of Culloden took place. In barely 40 minutes, thousands of clansmen were killed and the army of Bonnie Prince Charlie were defeated, ending the Jacobite rebellion. So apparently there are many ghosts at Culloden Moor, such as ghosts who return on the 16th of April to relive the battle and their deaths. They have been heard by the cries of battle, and some witnesses have heard the clash of steel on steel, like sword fighting.
Yeah.
One legend of Culloden Moor is that birds don't sing at the exact site of the battle or at the graves of the slaughtered Jacobites. Also, heather grows nearby, but it will never grow over the graves of Jacobites. And witnesses have seen a dead Jacobite soldier under a tartan cloth on one of the grave mounds at Culloden Moor. A Highlander ghost has been seen frequently, and he quietly says, "defeated," to anyone he meets. And there's a large ghostly bird that inhabits Culloden Moor. And it was first seen on the night before the battle in 1746 by Lord George Murray, who was the Jacobite commander. It's a huge black bird called the Great Scree of Culloden Moor, and anyone who sees it will have bad luck, which they did because they saw it the night before the battle and they lost.
Okay.
What do you think's next? What can you
Graveyards.
think of? No.
Oh. I don't know.
I'll give you a clue. You were at one the other day.
Football stadiums.
No.
Where was I the other day?
With your child.
Oh, a museum.
Yeah. Right, this one is the Glasgow Museum of Transport. This museum is popular with ghosts and no one knows why. In the recreated old-fashioned cinema, seats go down by themselves and a couple of apparitions, including that of a headless figure, and a rain-soaked man in a hat who disappears before people's eyes. Another apparition was seen by a security guard in the 1990s. The ghost was wearing a trilby hat, standing outside one of the mocked-up shop fronts. Elsewhere in the museum, a security guard has heard the sounds of kids screaming by the steam engines and has seen figures walking through walls and sounds of footsteps when the building has been empty. And then we've got Scotland Street School Museum, which is in Glasgow. This was originally a school opened in 1906, and it was actually designed by Charles Rennie Mackintosh.
Oh, heard of him.
Yeah, he's famous.
I don't know what, I can't remember what he's famous for though.
For being an architect, probably, because he designed a school.
Oh, okay.
So the school could accommodate over 1,250 pupils and was in operation until 1979, when the slum clearances and fallen population led to the school having less than 100 pupils. So it became a museum, and apparently it's haunted. Ghosts have been spotted around the upper floors. Cold spots have been experienced even when it's been boiling hot outside. Also, disembodied voices and footsteps of children have been heard when no one else is about. Why is it always children? Well, I suppose this one was a school, so children, yeah. But, like, why is there always ghost children everywhere? Probably because they've died before their time. That's
maybe.
probably why.
Yeah, maybe.
There's a poltergeist in the cookery room, and a psychic encountered the spirit of an old schoolmistress. There have been a couple of paranormal investigations carried out there, and in October 2007, scenes from the past seemed to play out physically. A wee boy was seen running away from the discipline of what appeared to be a 1930s teacher, while other former staff and pupils were detected wandering about, including a cookery teacher called Elsie. A girl... What? I like it when they have names.
Well, yeah.
A girl called Bridget Riley was detected following the investigators around, and they also picked up the ghost of a small dog. The other investigation was exactly a year later, in October 2008. Footsteps were heard when no one was about. A couple of headmasters came through, including a stern man of military bearing and another man who gave his name as Davidson, which was one of they looked back at the records, and he was one of the school's earlier headmasters.
Oh, right, okay.
And when investigators rang a school bell, they saw shadow figures and heard children giggling.
Oh.
So there you go.
Oh.
There's a few of our ghosts in Scotland.
Oh, and I'm sure there's many, many, many more.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of thought, right, I've had enough now. I'm going to stop because, you know, I've written like 15 pages of ghosts. So, yeah.
But Scotland is very haunted, so if anybody that does not live in Scotland, or if you do live in Scotland, there's definitely plenty of places you can go if you want to find some ghostly activities.
Yeah, there's like, well, I don't know why I kept trying to find ghostly activities. I wanted to go to the Drovers Inn, I wanted to go to the Culloden Moor.
Like that. Like obviously I'd be totally scared if I encountered anything, but I've done things that are ghostly, like ghost tours around Edinburgh and, you know, things like that, so...
I'm too scared now. See, I should have done this kind of stuff. I have been on a witchery tour, but when I was younger. See, I should have done all this kind of stuff when I was younger, because then I still would have been scared, but like not as shit scared as I am now. So there you go. There's our first Halloween bonus. So we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, so come back and listen to us for the second.
Yeah,
part.
That's a bit longer stories. There's only 2 places that I'll be telling you about tomorrow. So obviously I've got longer stories for each place. So yeah, and you know, in the meantime, if you want to follow us on social media, well, I'll put the you know, all the information in the show notes. If you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/CrimeDivers, and you know, we have couple of bonus episodes every month over there. Early access to episodes, ad-free episodes. I couldn't get that out there. And if you do like the show,
please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
See you later, or see you tomorrow, should I say?
See you tomorrow.
Bye.